Oh, hey, my name's Ryan Mayer. I'm the guy.
I'm Steven.
And this is LeRoy, and this is the Dadless Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Episode number, we're not sure, but first 10.
Yeah. Yes. We'll call them less than 10
Single
years.
digit.
Anyway, let's talk about how to what? Program your own workout so you don't need any asshole telling you what to do?
Yeah, I think we can start there.
I think that this is a great topic and hopefully be very helpful. You know, we did a post on the site a while back about exercises that you can do with your kids, and they're 10 or 12, 14 different movements. But you know, I go to a gym now where there is programming built in, but so often I'm either in a not at a gym, I'm in a hotel where there's a gym and I don't know what workout to do, or you go to a fitness, a big fitness center that's filled with treadmills and a bunch of machines, and you really don't know how to approach them.
So I think one of the best ways. I think I'm a big advocate of people, no matter what level they're at, right, is starting out learning basics, even if it's wrongly alone in a garage somewhere, like with a buddy, right? And I'm not saying like, you know, preacher curls and whatever else, but if you find someone that is intelligent, well, you know, like I'll go back to Dan John. Because I think that even in the noise of get 8-pack abs in 20 minutes on Facebook, all the advertisements, there's people like Dan John that are putting out really you can just turn key. If I was a guy in a garage, I could grab pick anything of what he has written and do that for 6 weeks and be better than I was 6 weeks prior. And now the movements, you might not be able to go as, you know, heavy as your ego thinks you could. You might not do them correctly to the degree that a professional would look at it and be like, hey, you're a stud. But I think you can get stronger and healthier and more mobile just by sort of, you know, I think, you know, finding something like that. And it doesn't have to be complex, you know. It doesn't have to be complex.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Anything you do is going to make you better if you're moving more and under load, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, we can talk about Dan John and whoever.
Well, let me
else,
ask you a question, Ryan.
What? What do you want?
Because
to
I
know,
think
Steven? Come on.
Yeah,
I don't have time for this.
Back to me and my question. All right, so I think as LeRoy said, we've established that you can get stronger, you can improve doing something on your own. You don't need to be paying a personal trainer or, you know, potentially even doing CrossFit. You know, but let's start with just sort of a base where if somebody says, all right, I have an hour, I'm going to be at Lifetime Fitness, the place we always pick on.
Yeah.
Where do you tell them to start? Is it get on a treadmill for 20 minutes and then pick a body and then pick you know, biceps, triceps, legs, or is there some total, you know, do weights, then do some sort of metric conditioning after that for 20 minutes and then cool down?
That's a
Ryan, I'll let you go, brother.
Outline the hour.
It really depends on.
Does it need to be an hour?
Well, I mean 30 minutes or 40 minutes.
We have an hour.
Let's say.
Okay, so we have have an hour. I'll go with that. Good. Okay.
It's really so you're a beginner, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
In this hypothetical situation.
Right. Let's just. I mean, you're not going to be doing clean and jerks.
Okay. So it's tough to say. What your goals are really going to depend on what you do. But for the most part, if you're starting out, we want you to simply be more aware of your body, if that makes sense. So single joint movements are probably not going to be the best for somebody starting out. But some people might not be able to move more than one joint at a time either. So you have to kind of figure out where everybody's at, and like we talked about in the fat loss one, meet them where they're at. That may mean, if they can only do a quarter squat onto a high box, that may be where you start, and then go from there. But it's really tough to say. Like, you could be a beginner who's 60 and hasn't gotten off the couch in 10 years, or you could be a beginner that's 30 but has been running marathons for the last 20 years or whatever. So
do you think that regardless of squatting, do you think there's a warm-up? I mean, I'll
interrupt Ryan even though he didn't say anything. I think Ryan said one thing that really stands out for me is I don't know if there's an out of the box, like just like this works for everyone, right? There's no prescription where you just go, okay, this is the marathon runner who's been running 20 years worth of marathons, and the guy who just got off the couch, who's maybe 38 pounds overweight. Those two don't necessarily do the same thing right away, right? But right. I think to the question that you had, Stephen, is a warm up important? Absolutely. I think without, it's very difficult. You're at risk for injury, and just like if you ever try to lift, for me, if I ever think I'm like 19 again and just go in and it's like, hey, I'm just going to snatch right now for shits and giggles without warming up. Those snatching sessions generally suck bad, and I've been guilty of that. Even cutting short my warm up, like I'm ready to go, and I know that those sessions they suck. Like I don't get into the movement, so to speak, until later in the workout. So then all of a sudden I'm moving. I might be done with snatching onto the next movement before I'm even warmed up enough to get the benefit fully of the exercise. So I think a generalized warm up, which gets your heart rate up, and one of the, just something simple as like we'll do to warm up for our weightlifting club, right? We'll just do like 50 jumping jacks. They'll do like 15 push-ups, 15 body weight squats, like air squats. Do some some high knees, some butt kickers, shuffle sideways, and I think the whole workout, the whole warm up, as far as just getting the heart rate up and moving, is about maybe 10 minutes, and then after that we go into some dynamic sort of stretching, like a lunge, a traveling lunge, like where you actually your knee will sort of contact the floor, and then you push that hip forward, and then stand up and do it again with the other leg, and then arm circles. We'll do some. We'll do some just like I'm a big fan of star jumps because it gets rid of everyone's dignity immediately, because it's really difficult to look cool and have an ego while doing a star jump, and I think that's a big important part of having an awesome workout is like sort of setting your ego down a little bit. But yeah, so in short, yes, I think a warm up is important, and that's for everyone. I don't think it is.
Why?
Because it preps your body to move.
Let's get real here. I mean, let's talk about for real.
Yeah, I'm real, brother. It preps your body to move.
I know you're real, but tell me why. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
So explain it to the listeners.
Let's tell these people why we need to warm up.
So if all of a sudden we go from, we're taking a system that's been at rest, their body, right? And now we're going to put potentially an external load on it, and it's like revving your car from 0 to like 100 and let's say your car goes 180 miles. I'm not going to say, or 180 miles per hour. I'm not going to say it's like going from 0 to 180. It's more analogous to going from like 0 to 120, right? I'm not sure that over time that's sustainable. At some point you might, and maybe the car is not a perfect example because of sort of the engineering behind it, but and maybe it's more anecdotally, right? Where maybe this is the garage gym challenge, right? I'll go out and if I try and just cold with zero training, right? Try to go do something like 80% of a max of my ability. It's going to feel worse for me, and potentially, I've not been injured, but potentially could open you up for injury if you're in a deconditioned state. To go from 0 to 80% without warming up, you know what I mean?
So,
sure.
So let me ask. So I think you said two things there, and I want to clarify. One reason to do warm up is to help avoid or prevent injury. Reduce, I guess I should say, warm-up is important to reduce your risk of injury. Also, do you believe that it increases the either effectiveness or increases the ability to perform the actual workout?
I think it's both of those. Yes, it increases. I think it increases the effectiveness of the workout because you're able to better perform the movements in the way that, and maybe I'm talking specifically for me in a weightlifting sense, right? Which these are compound movements.
Yeah.
And so if I'm doing just push-ups and sort of, maybe something without a potential and external load, the impact of that warm-up, it might be lesser than compound movements with an external load. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that would be more of a warm-up.
Yes, yeah. So for me, it's all relative. So it increases the effectiveness of your workout because you're able to better perform the movement in the manner that you are striving to. In that case with weightlifting, and so therefore the work you're getting more benefit from a motor control, a central nervous system exposure standpoint than you would on a cold system. Although I know there's guys like Zach Evanesh and some of these other guys who will specifically train from a cold state. Like I know Zach will relate a story where he will keep 225 loaded on a barbell in his garage and just randomly throughout the day go deadlift it, which is also beneficial. Yeah. But here's but it takes that takes time. If someone were to walk up to me and say Zach Evanesh is a deconditioned human being, I tell you you're full of shit. But I don't necessarily that means beginners are out there pulling 225. Maybe they're walking out to 60 pounds on a bar, 80 pounds. I don't know, but there is something to be said for training in that way. But it's specific and for a specific reason, and it's specifically made for a specific reason. That's not redundant at all. But it's made to help them train, specifically train that deconditioned like from 0 to 80 miles an hour state.
And that's, I kind of train like that.
Okay.
I rarely ever warm up. But at the same time, I rarely ever train in a distressed state at high intensity.
Sure.
So I don't, even when I'm pulling 500 pounds, I had worked up to that. So what I did before that was more like a warm up. But I don't train like you guys do at CrossFit. But if you're a beginner, I would always recommend doing some sort of movement before taking load.
Okay, so we're gonna do a warm up. So let's LeRoy sort of threw a few.
Always consult your physician.
Right, I know. I think we got to put that disclaimer on the website.
Yeah,
that's the lawyer me speaking.
Totally.
But let's get LeRoy threw out some movements. Walking lunges, maybe we do those at the gym all the time with a little bit of a twist to both. Open up the hip, get the quad sort of firing, and do some stretching in there at the bottom of it. What are a couple other movements? Jumps, getting the heart rate up. We do a lot of high knees and butt kickers. Give the listeners 3 more movements, guys.
Well, go ahead.
For the warm up.
Sure. You could do like cat-cow yoga poses, where you're mobilizing your spine a little. Open book is kind of like where you're in like a cat yoga position and you open your body up on one side with your right leg and arm and go back down and then do it on the other side. Jumping jacks, we do. High knees. You want some more?
Maybe some air squats?
Air squats, yeah, definitely.
All right. So it's just, it sounds like really opening up, and getting big muscle groups sort of firing and moving so they're ready when you do get under load.
Mm-hmm.
So let's, so now again, you've done 10, 15, 20 minutes of warm-up. You're at the gym, and, let's assume we don't have bumper plates here, but we've, if you're in a hotel gym, you've got probably, some sort of machine that might allow you to do some pushing and pulling movements, and some dumbbells.
Yeah.
And, you can throw in a yoga ball. You can throw in some medicine balls. Where do you go from there?
This is so hard for me because I train and I don't follow a routine really that much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when I train other people personally, we never follow a specific routine either. So I would say that you kind of have to. The best advice I could give anybody that is just starting or else at least looking for a better way to train is to learn how to listen to your body better than listen to a workout from somebody else's brain. If that makes sense.
One thing that I think is probably important to think about, we always talk about, and I don't remember the priorities, but you guys probably do, is there's form, there's load, and intensity. And you've got to figure out, if you're in a hotel gym and usually you're used to getting on a treadmill for 40 minutes, you probably don't want to take, two 55-pound dumbbells and start doing overhead squats with them, or, some sort of thruster with them. On the flip side, if you're comfortable with your form, and there's dumbbells there, maybe you want to try a dumbbell movement that usually you do with a barbell. Because again, I've never been in a hotel gym that has barbells, but where are you guys at on all right, I'm warmed up, I'm loose, I'm ready to go. Now I want to put some load on this thing and really get myself going.
Ryan, you go.
I don't know, man.
I'm at the ready. I'm at the ready.
Okay, go ahead. I just don't. I mean, for me to sit here and program somebody I don't even know is hard.
Well, look, I mean, so like
just move, man. Just move,
right? Well, yeah. I'm gonna start calling Ryan the exercise hippie, right? Just move, dude. Just move. So I think like it could be anything. So like let's put it in this context for you, Ryan. Let's say you have a buddy who's across the country who's like, hey, I've never worked out, Ryan, and I really want to start working out now. What do I do, bro?
What's your history?
Like, I think, okay, that's a fair question, and I agree with that. But I think for me, like it starts something as simple as like someone who's really deconditioned, and I know this is like very anti-testosterone-y answer, but like someone could go for a freaking hard walk for 25 minutes to start, right? I mean, like, but to answer the question, they're sitting in a hotel gym or they're at the gym, right? I mean, I hate treadmills, so I think that's it's like everything is wrong about a treadmill for me. But so I would not advise if they're gonna go if you want to walk let's start go hit 20 minutes of a walk where you can't where it's difficult to carry in a conversational pace. You know what I mean? That's the type of walk I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the leaves turning on the trees. Let's view them walk. I'm talking about like you should not be able to carry on a conversation as easily as you otherwise would. Do that for 20 minutes to start. And then I'm a huge fan of like push-ups. I'm a big fan of freaking, like a body weight squat or a lunge, not weighted. Those are good things. And then sit-ups, man. I think and even like if they can do a pull-up, great. You can get a lot of work done for 6 weeks if you just followed, do 3 sets of, or 5 sets to, or pick a time on a minute, do 5 sets of, 10, or do 5 minutes, rotate through those movements in a double, 5 to 10 reps sequence, and do that 3 times and see where you're at, or 4 times or 5 times or whatever it is.
Well, LeRoy, I'll try and rescue a little bit there because the numbers I know are difficult just rattling them off there.
Sorry. I mean is, do a 3 to 5 sets of those movements, right?
Right.
5 to 10 reps each time, and cycle through them. Yeah. Like a push up, a pull up, a squat, a lunge, or whatever. Sit up, and then do that for 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Right. Do it 3 times a day, and then see where you're at, and then go from there. I think there's not a lot that can go wrong there. Now, I think sprints are awesome. Right. I think you can always get a lot done with some sprints. So,
well, LeRoy,
sorry.
No, I think really what you're getting at, and this is something that I always am trying to my wife really likes to work out every day. So whenever we're not in a place that she can get to the gym, she comes to me to come up with something. And listen, there's apps out there for iPhone and Android that will do workouts for you with body weight, and we can even list some of those up on the site because I don't have them off the top of my head. But I always like to throw out there, like, in every minute on the minute, as many reps as you can in 5 minutes. A Tabata, which is really if you're
Yep.
Those are some great ones that I think. Pick 3 movements, do 3 rounds of Tabata, and maybe one of you guys wants to explain Tabata. Otherwise, I'm happy to. Or in that kind of concept, do 15 push-ups, 15 sit-ups, 15 air squats, then do 30, 30, 30, and then 45, 45, 45.
The Tabata timing interval, although sometimes hailed as the miracle timing protocol, it's very potent. It's a very potent timing interval where you work for 20 seconds and then you rest for 10, and you can do that with any movement, and you're going to do that. I think the running time ends up being 8 minutes, so it's really good for anything because you can. We use it a lot of times with movements that, for example, we won't do it with back squats because it's really hard to you got to rack the back squat, so it takes up some of your short time. But stuff like front squats, we'll use it, and we'll use it for sprints. We'll use it for push-ups and sit-ups. A lot of times with push-ups, though, you end up with failure somewhere along the way. But
you
anyway.
keep mentioning push-ups and leaving burpees out of it, and I can't remember the last time I did just a push-up without a burpee.
Really?
Well,
yeah, we do
burpees. Burpees are I don't know, the devil spawn. But I think push-ups. I think push-ups are an totally underrated movement, man. I think, I tell my wrestlers, I'm no one can tell you, hey, stop doing push-ups or stop being so strong at push-ups, or because it's it hits your core, hits some of your upper back. I think it's great, and people just it doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to be doing snatches to get in really great shape. Herschel Walker, he did thousands of push-ups and sit-ups, and that dude was a beast.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? I mean, I used to hear that.
I mean, whether we believe it or whether he did 500 or 1,000, it doesn't matter. I saw the 30 for 30, and ESPN wouldn't lie. I think the guy, if you look at him now, obviously he has some really great. I think he has probably some really great genetics. Yeah. Because look at him now; he's 50 years old, and he's still. I want to be in as good a shape as him, and so I think there's something to that. But I also think he grew up in the country and he didn't have a real big strength training place to train from. So that's why I keep bringing up push-ups and not a burpee. Yeah, you can do a burpee and it's great, but I think it's not the same strength builder as a push-up. I think they're different. They're different. You can use a burpee and it can be a nasty conditioning tool. Ask what's that guy who has the prisoner workout?
Yeah. I don't know his name, but
we'll have to look it up, but I don't know. They can be great, but it's not as big of a strength build. And I think a lot of people, I think they need to get stronger. If you can't do a push-up, you're in a bad way. So you can't do a burpee if you can't do a push-up, right? You can do a modified version of one, but I think that says more about your fitness level than anything else. If you can't do a push-up, you need to fix that. Just like if you can't do a pull-up, you need to fix that. Those two need to be a priority.
So I want to. Ryan is saying, and Ryan, I understand where you're coming from in terms of you really want to understand somebody, where they're at, what their history is. Yeah. But, also to hear you say that you don't come into it with a plan. For me, this is for me personally, mm-hmm. If I don't have a plan, if I just say, I'm going to do some push-ups, I might do some air squats, I'm going to do some lunges, etc., as LeRoy has been kicking around, I feel like I'm going to do several of all of those and not really get to where both of you are recommending getting. You want to be tired, you want to be under stress, you want your body to feel exhausted.
Why? That's ridiculous.
Okay, you're saying you don't need that.
No.
I think you don't. It depends on what your goals are. You don't have to end up in a pool of sweat on the floor in order to have accomplished a really great beneficial workout.
But do you think if you go and you do, a few push-ups and a few sit-ups and a few air squats, and LeRoy, you never get to that point that you're talking about on that walk where you can't really hold a conversation. Are you getting better?
Of course.
Yeah. It just depends on what the metric of better you're measuring. I mean, if we're talking about, are you getting stronger? Like you on the walk, like if you don't reach that point, now I also didn't say that, that then maybe at that point, like, because that's what I mean is you can get stronger and not end up out of breath. Right. You can improve your strength and not end up out of breath. But I think as far as like the walking thing, I mean, if you can carry on the conversation, I mean, it's like, not to be pedantic, but just fucking walk faster, and then if you're not getting there, I mean, maybe then at that point, now let's look at maybe throw in an interval of a sprint, like run a sprint from block to block, a light, like hit one block or one light pole to one light pole, and then walk to the next one and then run the next one. And there's a lot of ways to kind of cut that so that it ends up being more beneficial than just sort of, hey, I'm wasting my time. And I'm not saying you might have to.
How do you measure? How do you measure if it's beneficial, more beneficial? Do you feel that, Steven, let me ask you. So you feel that if you're, in a pool of sweat and you're tired at the end of your workout, you're measuring good based on that, how you feel afterwards?
Well, I think that's a great question. I don't have a.
Is that just what you're asking?
I don't have an answer, but my theory is if I can do 10 push-ups unbroken and I want to be able to do 20 push-ups unbroken, or if I can do 100 unbroken, I want to be able to do 200 unbroken, whatever that number is. I've got to design something that's going to help me get there. If I can do 10 push-ups, keep doing 10 push-ups over and over and over again. Or doing 10 push-ups a day. I don't mean over and over.
I see what you're saying.
I'm never going to get to 20 push-ups. If I want to get to 20 push-ups, I should do 3 sets of 8 push-ups one day.
Well, there's a way to. So there's a couple different ways that you can cut that sort of pie to figure out what's improvement look like, right? So
those are good questions.
What you're it is actually what you're talking about is achieving the ability to do 20 push-ups, right? So I would make the case that you could spend time doing 10 push-ups, right? So let's say, obviously, if you did 10 a day, every day, you will get better at doing 10 push-ups, right? Maybe you're measuring the time that it takes you to do those 10 push-ups, which as that decreases, that indicates the ability to do more push-ups that's there, Does that make sense? So let's say the first day one, it takes you, 2 minutes to do 10 push-ups, was a horrendous long time to do 10 push-ups. Right. But let's say for sake of argument, it takes 10 minutes, and then by the end of the week, now you're down to a minute, and then by the end of 2 weeks, now we're down to like 40 seconds or whatever. So what that means is increased ability to do push-ups, hit sort of that, you've seen that metric improve. Now go for 12, go for 15, whatever it is. And so I think to your point is like, how do you know when to go up? Is that what I'm to understand is the question?
Well, no, it's interesting to me to hear Ryan's approach because it's so different. Just a personal anecdote real fast. Yeah. This is personally the way that I'm sort of programmed, and I have found this. And as everybody who's listening to this probably knows, I do CrossFit. So when I used to go to a gym and work out with a personal trainer, I'd show up. I don't know if he had the plan in his head already or not, but it wasn't on the whiteboard, right? Mm-hmm. He would walk over. He'd be like, all right, we're going to do this machine. And I didn't know what machine was next. And I felt, I don't know, I did not like that. It did not work well with me. What I enjoy out there is being able to see, all right, I know I can get through these 10 push-ups because then after that I've got 10 pull-ups and then I've got one round down. And and sort of, for me in my mind, I like to be able to set that goal and achieve that goal because either otherwise I don't enjoy it, I don't get as much out of it, or I end up doing, if I'm at the gym for an hour, as we started with that scenario, I'm there for an hour and I've spent 35 of those minutes sort of wandering around and sort of concocting what I'm going to do next, which is typically not what I wanted to get out of my time there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Ryan's sentiment of I got to know what that person's background is in order to sort of figure out what we're going to do with them is a correct one. But I think there's got to be something, right, that is you can say is universally beneficial. My point is just I think a press, a pull, a hip hinge, and a squat, and getting your heart rate up so you can't breathe, very well for a little bit, and then resting, and then doing it again is the best of all worlds.
So I agree. So If someone were to come in, every workout they have, even though I don't have a specific plan before they come in, they will do a hip hinge, a squat, a press, and a pull or a row every time. But there's hundreds of different variations of each of those movements.
Yes.
And whatever one tests better that day, we're going to do that.
So I mean, Ryan, so it's not that you don't have a plan. It's that you identify muscle groups or joints and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to use, your quads and your hips, or it's going to use your
kind of. I don't like to think in terms of muscle groups. I like to think in terms of movement more.
You're such a workout hippie.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's just
it cracks. Don't box me in, bro. With your anatomy
and
talk.
I don't like being put in a box either, because what's good for this person isn't good for this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. But you're saying so you want to call it a pulling motion, and as opposed to call it a lat motion, or I don't even know enough about anatomy to be accurate.
Yeah. So like a deadlift would be a hip hinge, right? And a squat obviously would be a squat. But you know how many different variations there are of squats and deadlifts? Lots. Rowing would be anywhere from a bent over row, an upright row, to even a pull up. So,
I think we need to make a shirt, man, that says like something to the effect of like, "Don't box me in, bro, with all your anatomy talk."
I can talk to you about anatomy, but it's not like I'm trying to hit just specific muscles, because the body doesn't work that way.
I get it.
You're trying to hit.
I think it's funny how immediately. He's like Heismaning. As soon as that comes up, he's like, whoa, dude,
totally,
whoa.
I really, I don't like to be boxed in.
All right,
we can have a whole nother discussion about how I train.
Yes.
If you want.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I think that's valuable, but
no, I think that's so you just are coming at it from a movement perspective. So I'm going to go into this gym I've never been before,
box
and
me into that either.
I'm not boxing.
A movement perspective. Yes. So I think in terms of movement rather than
lowercase m.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm saying we're gonna. I don't know what. I'm walking into a gym. I have no idea. What equipment is behind this door. But whatever it is, I'm gonna do a pulling motion, a squatting motion, and a lifting motion. Does that resonate with you, Ryan?
For me,
what? I'm sorry. So a pulling motion, a hip hinge or a bending motion, a squatting motion, a rowing motion. Well, not a pulling,
and you
rowing,
can add to that list.
And a pressing.
Yeah. Right. So I don't care what's in any gym. I don't care if it's you could be at Costco and using jars of mayonnaise.
Yes. Go do it.
And then you could sell it on the internet and make all kinds of money because you came up with the jars of mayonnaise workout at Costco.
And it's a great idea because membership at Costco is like $60 a year versus most gyms that could be well in excess of that on a monthly basis.
Maybe we call that the dad lifts training, and we partner up with Costco. I think we might be
there
on something.
too. So you can get your post workout meal.
And I think it's important to say that it's, LeRoy, the point you just made about the deadlift workout, it's not a coincidence that all of these movements that Ryan's discussing are done on a daily basis for anybody with kids, right? You're bending over to pick your kids up. You're and
so you want to talk about functional? Fuck you. This is functional.
That was pretty savvy right there, Steven.
Yeah,
I like how you pulled that all together, brother.
See what
that
he
was
did
impressive.
there? That's why Ryan pays me the big bucks.
That's right.
Yeah, that was excellent.
So
I think like I said, I think I summed up my side of what they should do, and even if it's just a matter of they have like if you had a index card with 5 options of each movement, and you just picked one and did a set of 10, a set of 10, a set of 10, and did that for 15-20 minutes, you'd see an improvement hugely. I think it's just there's that Dan John has that I'm gonna name drop this motherfucker every time, but he has this thing where, you know, like you said, every program works for a while, and that's the truth. The problem is people have a hard time just sticking with one, right? Like, you know, if you just stuck with something for 6 weeks, you would see a change from it, you know, whether it's sitting on the couch eating Cheetos or it's running hills or whatever it is. If you just did that, you would see a change, now, good or bad. You know what I mean? So,
right. All right, so we've done our workout, and cool down. Do we want to talk about that at all, or do we want to wrap this up? We've got a good amount of tape.
I think it's a good time to sort of like bow tie this one, because you know,
just because I've been spending a lot of time editing. On the last one, you suggested wrap it in a bow, and now we're bow tying it. So
yeah, bow tying it, man.
So
I don't know where we're going next, you know, with it.
So I would just wrap it up from me. Don't box me in, bro, and and work within your limits to make your outer limits expand. Does that make sense? Don't go into the gym and try to work outside your limits to make progress faster, because it won't happen. Do what you can do now, so you can do what you can't do later.
All right, LeRoy, you want to give us your bow tie?
I think, like I said, it can be as simple as walking as hard as you can, right? Do that for 15, 20 minutes, all the way up to, you know, in your garage with friggin', you know, some push-ups, some pull-ups, some squats, and
go get a bag and fill it with
carry
sand.
Something. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it. I think that to me is an overlooked training methodology that can be very potent and very beneficial, that is available to almost everyone. I mean, grab a neighbor. You know, that same guy that you drink beer with and watch football games with, go, hey, fat ass, we like to sit and drink beer. Let's how about on Saturday before we, you know, watch football Sunday, let's go find that hill, let's jog up that hill and do it 5 times, and then let's do some push-ups, and then let's do some sit-ups, and then let's do some squats, and then let's go home, and then on Sunday let's enjoy our beer and football. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that's available to all of us, but everyone's always looking for sort of the reason out, right? Like, oh, I need a gym, I need this, I don't have time to do this, but we all do. So I think that's my bow, is like,
yeah,
find 3 things or 4 things, do them for 6 weeks with a buddy, and then go from there, right? And that's it.
Right, and
and get tired.
And my takeaway after listening to you guys, I don't know how much it's changed, but really, it's, you know, have a plan, whether that's a 6-week plan or a plan just for the next hour, of here's what I want to get out of this, and start from there, and then sort of develop something that you're accountable for. I'm not done until I've done 100 push-ups, or I'm not done until I've walked, you know, briskly for 20 minutes, wherever it is.
I love that word, briskly.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Set that goal and then go knock it out of the park.
Okay. You know what? You guys pump me up. I'm gonna go fucking get a bag and fill it with sand, and I'm gonna walk around my neighborhood and scare the shit out of people.
Briskly.
Hey, fat ass!
Don't stroll,
go fucking
Ryan.
come over to my garage.
I'm gonna fill up a bag. My neighbors already dislike me enough, I think. I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's good. I think this is a helpful episode for everybody. And
was it?
You know, well, it was helpful for Ryan.
We learned
I think
a lot.
we all come out ahead.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's another example of where, you know, we've already got some posts on the topic about, you know, here's movements you can do.
We also have a post about programming that was done by Frankie Ferris, and it kind of speaks to the way I program from a day-to-day basis. And if you want to look at that, it's good.
Right, but I think there's a lot of takeaways from this that we hope both of our listeners will appreciate.
Love you, babe.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. For Dad Lifts, this is Steven.
And Ryan.
And this is LeRoy. Thanks for listening. Have a great one.
Bye.